The superstar's mirage, Rihanna's lavish lifestyle. Spotlights flash like lightning as she steps onto the red carpet. Her dress, custom made by a Parisian designer, glitters under the cameras like liquid diamonds. A crowd of photographers shouts her name, their lenses chasing every angle of her perfection. Behind her, a $400,000 Maybach idles quietly, waiting to whisk her off to a private after-party where Cristal flows like water and A-list celebrities lounge on velvet couches under gold chandeliers. This is Rihanna at the height of her fame. She's not just a singer, she's a global phenomenon. Her voice echoes through stadiums. Her face covers magazines in every language. Her name alone moves millions. One month, she's in Milan, front row at a fashion show. Next, she's jetting to Barbados on her private Gulfstream. Her mansion in Beverly Hills has 10 bathrooms and a rooftop pool that glows neon blue at night. Another property sits quietly in London, just in case she feels like a change of scenery. Her lifestyle looks limitless. $60,000 shopping sprees in Soho boutiques. Designer heels stacked in rows like museum exhibits. Vacations that cost more than most people's homes. A staff that handles everything, from lighting candles before she wakes up to organising her next brand launch in Dubai. She moves through the world like she owns it, smiling confidently at press junkets, dominating every performance, launching new products like clockwork. On Instagram, millions of followers marvel at her outfits, her cars, her flawless skin, her jet-setting life. To the outside world, she seems untouchable, unbothered, unbreakable. Money problems, please, that's for people who don't have Fenty on their resume. But here's the catch. Luxury, when seen from afar, looks like security. Mansions can look like assets, but also hide liabilities. Fame looks like freedom, but sometimes masks financial fragility. And when the spotlight is brightest, no one sees the shadows behind it. So let me ask you, when you see that lifestyle, when you scroll past the penthouse views and diamond watches, what do you feel? Admiration? Jealousy? Inspiration? Or is there a quiet voice inside that wonders, what if it's not what it seems? Because behind the flashbulbs and the filters, behind the glam and the gold, there might be a different story. One not written in headlines, but in hidden bank statements, mounting expenses and silent fears. Rihanna's life looked perfect, but perfection is often a performance. And wealth? Wealth isn't about what you show. It's about what you keep. The superstar's mirage was mesmerizing, but even the brightest stars can burn too fast, and even icons can go broke behind the velvet curtain. We'll come back to that. But first, we need to talk about how it all started. The hidden trap. Spending is not wealth. Rihanna's life looked like the definition of success, but Morgan Housel says something that cuts through the illusion like a blade. Wealth is what you don't see. It's the cars not purchased, the diamonds not bought, the clothes not worn. Let that sink in. The things we call wealth, mansions, luxury cars, designer labels, are actually just signs of spending, not signs of strength, not signs of stability, not signs of security. It's easy to assume that if someone spends a lot, they must have a lot. But that's the trap. Spending is visible. Wealth is silent, and the louder someone's lifestyle screams, the more likely they're trying to hide something, sometimes even from themselves. Rihanna was making millions, yes, but she was also spending millions. Her team? Huge. Her expenses? Relentless. At one point, she didn't even realize how fast the money was vanishing until it was almost gone. And that's not rare. It's human. We chase the feeling of abundance by showcasing it. We spend to prove we've made it, to ourselves, to others, to the world. But every dollar flaunted is a dollar that's no longer growing quietly in the background, no longer compounding, no longer building real power. True wealth doesn't need to be seen. It's the account that doesn't get touched. The investment that keeps multiplying in silence. The freedom to walk away from anything and any time because you're not chained to your lifestyle. There's an emotional weight to this realization. It's uncomfortable to admit that much of what we admire, what we envy, might be built on financial quicksand, but there's freedom in that discomfort. Because once you see it, you can't see it, and you no longer have to play the game. Housel makes it painfully clear, spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. Read that again. It's not just a warning, it's a mirror. So ask yourself, are you chasing the image of wealth or building the reality of it? Are you performing security or protecting it? Because at the end of the day, real wealth isn't in the spotlight, it's in the silence. And the sooner you stop confusing consumption with strength, the sooner you'll find something far more powerful than applause. You'll find control. From riches to reality, Rihanna's near bankruptcy. Imagine waking up in a $10 million mansion, silk sheets wrapped around you, sunlight pouring through floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Hollywood Hills. You've got platinum records on the wall, your face on billboards, a beauty empire under your name. Everyone thinks you're rich beyond measure. But then, one morning your accountant calls, and the voice on the other end doesn't match the luxury around you. The numbers don't match the lifestyle. And suddenly, the world tilts. Rihanna, the icon who once ruled the stage and red carpet, found herself staring at the edge of financial ruin. In 2009, she discovered that most of her money was gone, not misplaced, gone. Squandered by poor management, reckless spending, and blind trust, she had earned tens of millions. But her bank account told a different story, one of losses, not legacy. Her accountant had advised her to buy a $7 million mansion. What he didn't mention, it was a financial sinkhole that would nearly drown her. She reportedly went from having $11 million at the start of the year to just $2 million left by the end of it. And even that was vanishing fast, eaten up by massive expenses, legal fees, and a lifestyle built on the illusion of endless income. Now picture her sitting in that same mansion. No music, no glam squad, just silence, just fear. Scrolling through her finances, reading legal documents, trying to make sense of how someone with so much, now I have so little. Anxiety creeps in like a slow fog. Disbelief turns into panic. How do you explain this to the world that thinks you're untouchable? To your fans? To yourself? The stage lights are off. The applause has faded, and all that's left is the echo of bad decisions and blind spending. This wasn't just a financial blow, it was personal. It shattered her sense of control, her trust in others, her belief in the system she thought was protecting her. Because when you confuse income with wealth, when you think money will always keep coming, you stop protecting it, you stop watching it, you start bleeding without even noticing. And that's what makes her story so brutally human. It wasn't greed, it was belief. Belief that more money meant more security. Belief that success would protect her from collapse. But success doesn't prevent failure, and fame doesn't equal financial intelligence. Rihanna had to face the truth most people run from. You can't spend your way into wealth. And if you try, eventually the numbers catch up. She was a superstar drowning in silence, and her pain was invisible until it wasn't. Until it forced her to rebuild, not just her brand, but her entire mindset. We'll get to that redemption. But first, you need to understand just how common her fall really is. The silent millionaire, the power of unspent wealth. No red carpet, no designer heels clicking on marble floors, no paparazzi outside waiting for a shot. Just an old sedan parked in the driveway of a modest one-story house. The lawn is trimmed, but not professionally manicured. The mailbox is dented. And the man who lives here, He wears the same pair of faded jeans and scuffed sneakers every week. His name is Alan. He's in his late 60s, quiet, kind. No one would guess it, but Alan is a millionaire. Not because he got lucky, not because he inherited wealth, but because he understood something most people never do. He never tried to look rich. He never needed to prove anything. While others showed off, Alan saved. He lived below his means for decades, investing a steady portion of his paycheck, avoiding debt, and saying no to things most people feel pressured to say yes to. No flashy cars, no luxury vacation, no need to impress. His peace didn't come from applause. It came from knowing he was free. Free to retire early. Free to help his children when they needed it. Free to sleep without the weight of bills or the fear of what if. Wealth, Housel writes, is the nice cars not purchased, the diamonds were not bought, the first-class upgrade declined. It's what stays behind after the ego steps aside. It's quiet power, not because it needs to be hidden, but because it doesn't need to be shown. Alan doesn't talk about money. He doesn't need to. He knows that stability is louder in silence than it ever is on Instagram. He doesn't wake up wondering if he can keep up appearances. He doesn't need another zero to feel valuable. Because the wealth he built wasn't just in dollars, it was in discipline, in patience, in peace. Where Rihanna's story is one of noise, bright lights, headlines, heartbreak, Alan's is a whisper, but it's steady, unshakable. While others chase lifestyle, he embraced freedom. And freedom, unlike fame, doesn't fade with time. So ask yourself, would you rather be admired for what people think you have, or feel calm knowing what you actually do? Because the truth is brutal but beautiful. The richest people aren't always the loudest. They're often the ones walking past you in worn-out shoes, the ones who made different choices, smaller choices, wiser ones. Housel says it best. The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for as long as you want, is the highest dividend money pays. And that dividend doesn't show up in your feed. It shows up in your soul. Moment of awakening, realizing the illusion. She's sitting alone in a quiet room. No stylists, no assistants, just her, a dim lamp, and a stack of financial reports spread across a glass table. The silence feels heavier than any crowd she's ever faced. It's the first time in years she's slowed down long enough to see clearly. And what she sees hurts. Every dollar she spent trying to feel secure. Every luxury purchase meant to prove she had made it. All of it. Gone. The mansion that once made her feel powerful now echoes with doubt. The luxury cars in the garage feel like mocking statues of a lifestyle she never truly owned. And for the first time, she doesn't feel famous. She feels exposed, naked beneath the weight of truth. Her heart races as she flips through bank statements that no longer make sense. 11 million down to 2. It doesn't seem real until it is. There's a tightness in her chest, a lump in her throat. Not just from the fear of being broke, but from the shame. The kind that whispers, "How didn't you see it? How could you let this happen?" But then something shifts. She stops running, stops blaming, and starts facing it. This was never about numbers. It was about believing money could buy peace. That fame could protect her from failure. That spending would somehow prove her worth. She sees it now, painfully and clearly. True wealth isn't loud. It's patient. It's what stays when the noise fades. What builds in silence while the world chases applause. Tears well in her eyes, not from defeat, but from awakening. This isn't just regret. It's the birth of clarity. She realizes she doesn't need more outfits. She needs more options. She doesn't need more headlines. She needs more control. And control comes from what you keep, not what you flaunt. At that moment, Rihanna reclaimed something far more valuable than fame. She reclaims her financial power, not with another hit single, but with a decision. to live differently, to think differently, to build, not to show, but to last. That's what emotional courage looks like. Not pretending you never fell, but standing up, eyes open, ready to walk a new path, quietly, powerfully. Free. Your crossroads. Spend for show or save for security. You're standing at a crossroads, and whether you realize it or not, you've been here before. Every swipe of the card, every online order that felt like a reward, every purchase meant to impress, distract, or soothe something deeper. On one side, the path of performance, a lifestyle built to be seen. New clothes, new gadgets, upgraded everything. It feels good, briefly. That moment when someone compliments your car, your outfit, your watch, but that moment fades fast. And when it does, you're left needing the next hit, the next thing to prove you're doing okay. But behind the scenes, the credit card debt creeps up. The savings account stays empty, and no one sees the anxiety that lingers at night, the quiet panic of knowing one emergency could shatter the illusion. Then there's the other path. It's not glamorous. It's not flashy. No one claps when you drive a used car or skip the luxury vacation. But behind the curtain, you sleep better, you breathe easier, because you're not living on the edge. You're building something real. Morgan Housel said it simply: spending money to show people how much money you have is the fastest way to have less money. So ask yourself, what do you really want? Do you want admiration that vanishes with trends, or peace that grows with time? Because invisible wealth, the kind that sits quietly in your account, growing slowly, patiently, is the only kind that buys true freedom. Freedom to leave a job you hate, to help your family when they need you, to walk through life without fear of the unexpected. This is your moment. You can chase the show or protect your soul. You can spend to be seen or save to be free. One path looks good now. The other feels good forever. So, what will you choose? Redefining wealth, the strength of financial humility. Real wealth doesn't need applause. It doesn't walk into a room demanding to be noticed. It sits quietly in your bank account. It shows up as peace of mind, as options, as freedom. Morgan Housel puts it perfectly. The highest form of wealth is the ability to wake up every morning and say, I can do whatever I want today. That kind of freedom doesn't come from what you spend. It comes from what you keep, from the decisions no one sees, from the shoes you didn't buy, the upgrades you walked away from, the discipline you held on to when ego told you to spend. True wealth is humble. It's invisible by choice. And that invisibility is its power. Because when your money doesn't need to prove anything, it finally starts to protect everything. So here's your challenge. If this message hits something deep, if you're ready to trade performance for peace, type this in the comments right now. Wealth is what you keep. Let that be your line in the sand, your promise to yourself, your quiet rebellion against the noise. This isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning. There are deeper truths waiting, lessons that will reshape how you think, how you spend, and how you build. But for now, hold on to this. Wealth isn't loud, it's calm. And when you choose humility over hype, you step into a power most people never find. Stay with us. There's more to uncover.